It's 1 in the morning, and you're still awake, rehearsing an argument you already lost. Someone said something untrue about you today, and now you're lying there building the perfect rebuttal, the evidence, the timeline, the version of events that finally proves who you really are. It feels urgent, almost like survival. But notice what you're actually doing. Spending your night, your sleep, your peace, defending something you never actually held in your hands. In a moment, I'll show you an ancient line, one Epictetus drew at the very start of his manual, that separates what's truly yours from what only ever looked like yours. And reputation isn't on your side of it. And by the end, you'll see exactly which fence you've spent your whole life guarding, one that was never yours to defend, and what's left once you finally stop. There's a name for that feeling, and it starts right here. You know the feeling. Someone says something untrue about you, and your chest tightens before your mind even catches up. You start composing the rebuttal in your head, the evidence, the timeline, the proof that you're not what they think you are. This isn't weakness. It's almost automatic, like flinching from heat. But here's the question worth sitting with. Why does this urge feel so urgent, so necessary, as if your survival depends on winning back someone's opinion? What if the thing you're rushing to protect was never actually under attack, because it was never yours to guard in the first place? Epictetus opens his manual with a line so simple it's easy to miss its weight. Some things, he says, are within our power. Opinion, aim, desire, aversion. In short, whatever is truly our own doing. Everything else, body, property, reputation, position, is beyond our power. Not partially, not sometimes, beyond it, categorically, like weather or other people's dreams. This isn't a productivity tip about focusing on what you can change. It's a claim about ownership itself, about what actually belongs to you as opposed to what merely orbits you. And once you take that claim seriously, something in the chest starts to loosen. Notice exactly where reputation sits on that list. Not almost yours, not yours if you work hard enough at it, beyond your power, filed right next to your body and your bank account. Epictetus goes further, describing the person who no longer bends to hostile judgment as living inside a strong city, one whose walls are made of settled opinions, not of anyone else's approval. He asks, what wall could possibly be stronger, what possessions safer, than a mind that has simply stopped needing the crowd's verdict? So when you explain yourself to someone determined to misread you, look closely. You're standing outside your own walls. You're defending ground that was never inside them. But if reputation was never yours, why does the sting feel so real? Epictetus has an answer, and it's uncomfortable. He says it is we who squeeze ourselves. Our own opinions do the squeezing, not other people's words. Stand next to a stone and insult it all day. The stone doesn't suffer because the stone holds no opinion about your insult. It simply has nothing in it that could agree with you. The pain you feel when misjudged isn't injected by the other person. It's manufactured the moment you privately agree that their verdict matters, that it's a mirror instead of just noise. Take that agreement away, and what exactly is left to hurt? Now, before this starts sounding like an excuse to go cold, let's push back on it, hard. Doesn't refusing to explain yourself just make you arrogant, distant? What about people who actually deserve an honest answer from you? A partner, a friend, someone who's earned your clarity, not your silence. This is the real test of the idea, not a footnote to it. Epictetus has a surprisingly warm answer here, using an image from a dice game. The dice themselves are indifferent. You don't control how they land, but how you play them, carefully, honestly, with full attention, that's entirely your business. So explaining yourself to someone who deserves it isn't betrayal of the principle. It's the principle in action. The shift isn't whether you speak, it's why. You're no longer explaining from fear of their verdict, scrambling to control an outcome that was never yours to control. You're choosing to speak, freely, because it serves the relationship, not because your peace is riding on their reaction. I'm genuinely curious where you land on this one. Is there someone in your life you'd still explain yourself to, even knowing their opinion isn't a referendum on you? Tell me in the comments.
Here's where it gets tricky, though.
This isn't permission to disappear on people and call it wisdom. Seneca warns against exactly that move, turning your silence into a performance, wearing your indifference like a sign that says, "Philosopher, don't bother me." He says there's no need to hang a placard on yourself. Advertising your retirement from caring just draws a crowd who now watches you not care. That's not freedom. That's the same old hunger for an audience, just wearing a disguise. Real indifference to judgment doesn't need witnesses. It doesn't perform. It just quietly stops needing anything from the room at all. Widen the lens now, because this is where the whole thing resolves. Epictetus argues that every human conflict comes from the same root mistake. Every argument, every grudge, even betrayal between people who once loved each other. The mistake is placing your good somewhere outside yourself, in someone's opinion, in a title, in being seen a certain way. If the only real good is a will rightly aligned, and the only real evil is a will that isn't, then what's left to fight about? Not other people's verdicts. Those were never good or evil, just weather. Stop staking your worth on the wind, and there's nothing left for anyone to contest with you. So picture that line again, the one splitting the page in two. For most of your life, you've camped on the wrong side of it, guarding a fence made of other people's opinions as if it were your own front door. But it never was your fence. Your reputation, their judgment, their misreading of you, all of it always stood on the far side of the boundary, in the country you were never actually given to govern. Once you see the line clearly, you stop mistaking someone else's verdict for your own reflection. And the silence that follows isn't withheld words, isn't a strategy, isn't even restraint. It's simply nothing left to say to a country that was never yours. What's the fence you've been guarding the longest? I'd like to know.